the U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just...
Conservative Party member Pierre Poilievre in Canada could very well be the next prime minister. And what you're about to see is one of the key reasons why. Because he's really good at handling the media. Now, you remember the classic video of him that we helped make go viral here on this show, of him standing in an orchard eating an apple and dueling with a reporter who was trying to say, you're just like Trump, you're a populist. And he goes, what does that mean? What are you even talking about? And he kept chewing on the apple, right? Well, he had a similar exchange here with someone who, again, tries to box him into a corner of being too Trumpy, and asking him a really, really tough gotcha question. Are you going to proclaim that there are only two genders here in Canada? Down in America, they said there's only two genders. But what about here in Canada? Because apparently in Canada, your body parts, I guess, are different than they are here in America. I know for men that's true. Anyway, here's how Pierre handled the question.
First day on the job, President Trump signed an executive order, the U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
Well, there's personally, I am a man. I am as people who say cis man. There are people there who, they say they're gender neutral. Well, you are a man. Yes. There are people there who say they're gender neutral. Yeah. They say they're gender neutral. They're a trans person. Is that something that you would recognize here? Whereas in the States, at least with their U.S. government, the way they're seeing it, there's only two.
I'm only aware of two, but I mean, if you come up with another list, then you're welcome to do that. But I'm aware of two. And as far as I'm concerned, we should have a government that just minds its own damn business and leaves people alone.
That's so brilliant on so many levels. And by the way, always, whenever you can turn it back on the reporter, do it, which is exactly what he did there. I'm sorry. Are you aware of more than just two genders? Please explain. Explain to me. He was completely thrown off guard. He didn't know what to say. He couldn't even back up the logic of his own question because guess what? It is illogical, right? And then what did he say? When I finally did get around to trying to explain what other genders you could possibly be, this is brilliant.
Or a man, yes. There are people there who say they're gender neutral. Yeah, they say they're gender neutral. They're a trans person. Is that something that you would recognize here?
Now think about that for a minute. So there's male and then there's female, but now you're saying that there's a trans person. So can you define what a trans person is? And then of course you're forced to say, well, it's someone who was born a man, aha, but now identifies as a woman, aha. We're still down to two. We're still down to two, baby. Help me out here. I think you're proving my point. And the nonplussed look on his face is always, it's just golden. And I love his delivery. But we discovered something here. Because, politicians, this is another gotcha question, right? Who are you going to piss off, pal? We're going to get you. We're going to get you to piss off somebody. This is a thing. And apparently politicians, specific to the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, they have issues with this. Now, this guy, Pierre Poilievre, in Canada, he gets it, and he handled this brilliantly. And, of course, we know what happened to this woman in America when she was asked kind of the same question, but actually even an easier question.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
I'm not a biologist. You got to have a degree to figure that one out, even though we were all sort of taught this and figured it out for ourselves when we were 2.5. But see, as I've always said, you have to have an advanced degree from a liberal arts college or maybe even a PhD to be that stupid. It takes a lot of education in an advanced studies course in a university to end up that stupid that you can't define what man and woman are. But let's get back to the British Commonwealth. Here is a British politician on BBC. See if you can see a pattern here.
Labour's definition of a woman?
Well, I have to say that there are different definitions legally around what a woman actually is. I mean, you look at the definition within the Equality Act, and I think it just says someone who is adult and female, I think, but then doesn't say how you define either of those things. I mean, obviously, that's then you've got the biological definition, legal definition,
No, I don't.
all this kind of thing.
With respect, I didn't ask for that. What's the Labour definition?
Well, I think with respect, Emma, I think it does depend what the context is, surely. I mean, surely that is important here. You know, there are people who have decided to that they have to make that transition. You know, I've spoken with many of them. It's been a very difficult process for many of those people. And, you know, understandably, because they live as a woman, you know, they want to be defined as a woman.
Okay, but the question was, define a woman. And she can't do it. Depends on the context, I think, might be my favorite dodge in that whole thing. But see, when you're a liberal, this is what you're forced to do. And you come out sounding like a babbling idiot. Now, when you're a conservative, all you got to do is say, yeah, okay, there's a man and there's a woman. And if you're aware of anything else, please educate me. Otherwise, let's just stick with that and move on. And let's mind our own business. See, there's a freeing beauty to being a conservative. But when you're liberal, here's another one, BBC, we're back in England again. It gets really convoluted. You got to twist yourself into pretzels. And you, by the way, still piss off people. Because that last Irish chick that you just heard, Labour politician there that said, well, you know, there's a legal definition and then there's this and then there's that. But then there's some people who are born a woman and then they've decided to transition. See, that'll get you canceled. People don't decide. And they weren't born a woman. They were born who they are, regardless of their chromosomes, regardless of their body parts. They're born based on, well, I can't define it. But people don't decide to transition, you bigot. They have no choice. It's who they are. See, there's no winning. There's no right answer when you're liberal. And it's beautiful to behold. Watch BBC.
Your party promotes women's rights. So please, can you tell me what a woman is?
Well, I know I'm a woman, and I think we know what we are, and I think all women are important, and their rights need to be protected, whether they are Black, Asian, white, whether they are gay or straight or bi, whether they have a very privileged upbringing or they don't have much money, whether they are cis or trans, whether they have a disability. We are all important in all of those different ways.
So how can you tell what a woman is?
Well, I mean, I'm just sort of trying to understand, you know, what you're getting at. I think we know when we engage with each other, when, you know, we know if we are a woman. And I can tell you that I am, right? So, and you know, we're not going to, you know, start a scenario where we go and, you know, perform inspections on people, are we?
No. What if a man wears a dress to work twice a week? Could he be a woman?
Not necessarily.
But could he be?
Well, I think people can understand their own identity, and I think it's right to respect people in terms of their gender identity.
I don't know if you caught that because, you know, they've got a heavy accent and I don't speak a foreign language. They're British. Who knows exactly what they're saying? But the woman on the phone said, well, what about a man who wears a dress 2 days a week? Is that a woman? Which, by the way, the answer is embedded in the question. If you really paid attention, it's a man who dresses up like a woman 2 days a week. And the politician, her only response was, not necessarily. So could be. That man who wears a dress 2 days a week could be a woman, but not necessarily. And it's glorious to watch. And it brings it back to our friend Pierre in Canada, because this guy is a freaking boss. This is the way you answer the question. But again, it's so freeing to be conservative, because if you're liberal, you're right back here.
And
So
that's for them to say.
If you dress as a woman twice a week to go to work, do you count whose gender pay gap? Do you count as a woman for the gender pay or a man?
Well, clearly, in terms of the gender pay gap, members of staff will identify their gender in company records to HR typically, and the company will then produce the statistics accordingly.
Anna, can I explain why this has become a talking point within the Liberal Democrat campaign? It's because you've promised complete reform of the Gender Recognition Act and effectively said you will remove the need for medical tests and feeds, that individuals will be able to self-identify. Now, to be honest, they largely can currently, and I think that this formalizes that, and it removes what are existing barriers that end up creating discrimination.
Discrimination. Wait, what are the barriers? What barriers are we talking about exactly? They're barriers. I mean, some barriers are larger than others. I've got my own barrier. I have a barrier that keeps me from being a woman. I can't show it to you. It would make it for a very different video, but I promise you it's a significant barrier. Let's go all the way down under now, because apparently, again, this is a British Commonwealth problem. And it's not just women who have trouble with this. Here's a dude in New Zealand, politician, asked the same question. Just watch.
Sean. I just wanted to ask you, given comments by Keir Starmer in Britain, how do you and how does this government define a woman?
To be honest, Sean, that question's come slightly out of left field for me. Biology, sex, gender. People define themselves. People define their own genders.
Keir Starmer has said that he believes 99.9% of women do not have penises. And I know it's a strange thing for him to say, but given recent events in New Zealand, I'd ask again, how do you define what a woman is?
Well, I think as I've just indicated, I wasn't expecting that question, so it's not something that I've, pre-formulated an answer on. But in terms of gender identity, I think people define their gender identity.
I haven't pre-formulated an answer. Wasn't expecting this question. This is a professional politician at the highest levels in the New Zealand government. I'm sorry, I got to huddle with my staff and figure out how to answer that question. This is where we are now, which brings us back to our hero in Canada, one of the best things to come out of our 51st state.
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as Prime Minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
That's how it's done. And that's how you do it. And that's why he's going to be your next Prime Minister of the beautiful state of Canada. Increased tariffs on our trade partners. It's in the works right now. Tax cuts, working on it in the House. Regulation changes already in the works. You've got to learn why gold is a viable diversification tactic right now more than ever. Birch Gold, the only gold company I endorse, they're releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text my name, LARRY, to the number 989898. That's Larry to 989898. When you do that, you'll get your free book, Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr., and you'll get the free information kit on gold. Because Birch Gold, the company I recommend to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, I love them because they do that for you without a penny out of your pocket. This is an existing account. It's money you've already got. You just convert it into that tax shelter IRA in gold. They've got an A+ rating. That's why I love them, from the Better Business Bureau. And they've got thousands of happy customers. That's really why I love Birch Gold. So text Larry to 989898. Free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. Thanks. Do that now.